Alright, hello scrappers. Tonight I'm going to be scrapping this. This is a DVD ROM drive. It's not a DVD burner, it's just a ROM drive. It's got the old IDE cable, no SATA port. This is old school. It's got a slower bandwidth there, a slower bus on it, slower transfer rate. So let's get it going here. Start with some screws. Kind of hoping to see some brass and some monolithic ceramic capacitors. There's usually a pretty good little chunk of circuit board in here. And there's guaranteed to be copper motor. Almost forgot to get the pre-weight, the pre-scrap weight. Always interesting to see what it weighs before scrapping and after you take the plastic out and how it all still adds up. So a little over a pound and a half. So we got some screws and a little piece of sheet metal for the tin bucket. I have used scrap sheet metal out of things I've scrapped to repair stuff. Because if you look, that's a nice little flat piece of metal. I've used that to fix stuff before. And we got some plastic. I do recommend wearing gloves. Protect your fingers, protect your eyes. And some of the older ones, these two rods that it slides on, those are brass in some of the older ones. And these contacts here are silver. So you could be clipping these and saving these ends here. Wait till you have enough and sell those on the eBay. A lot of scrap is worth more on eBay than it is at the scrap yard. Because people are buying it. The scrap yard's buying it to sell it overseas. People are buying it off of eBay as an investment. So we got quite a bit of that, these silver contacts here. But and a nice looking double-sided board here, green on both sides. And these pins do look gold-plated. And I'm going to show you how to get those out. We got some monolithic ceramic capacitors. We're going to come back to this board. Bend these little tabs out. Some low-grade copper bearing board. How easy is this motor going to come out? A lot of times you can just grab hold of these with channel locks and pop them right out if you got them set right. Channel locks have always been a good go-to scrapping tool. So I got a copper bearing motor. Now you could pop this out and get all the copper windings out of this. It isn't that hard to do. I've done it a bunch of times. They just pop out like this. Maybe I'll show you. Ouch! There, see? You can get the copper windings out. A little too time consuming sometimes though, for that little tiny bit of copper. But you can do it. I'm going to put this back together to make it a little heavier for the copper bearing bucket. And this rod here is almost always brass. And I usually just grab right hold of the motor. I usually can get the whole thing out. If I didn't bend it the wrong way. I think it's time for a new pair of channel locks because these don't have the teeth on them anymore. There you go. More copper bearing. And I'm going to cut this brass only so I can get this out of here. Nice little piece of brass. Let's see if I can get this other motor out. And another piece of copper bearing. No, technically this entire piece here, this entire drive, you could have threw the whole drive in your copper bearing bucket. And the scrapyard would have happily given you copper bearing price for it. But if you take it apart, you can get a little bit extra for it. So, I think I'm going to be smart and call this whole thing 10. Because the big magnet, the scrapyard, can pick that up. We can call this 10. And there's some other good parts in here. There's probably gold in here that I'm missing. Yeah, see a little gold in there. But I'm going to call this copper bearing as well. I got some more 10. And as I said before, these aren't brass. No, these are just 10. They're probably actually magnetic stainless. Now, how I've gotten this out in the past, a lot of times this plastic here just breaks off. Oh no, that's right, the little pliers. Use the little pliers. And you break this fin off. And then you can get these and get them out this way. And these do add up. You get a big enough pile of them, and you can list them on eBay, and somebody will remove the gold plating from it using reverse electrolysis. But that's too time consuming for me. I'd rather just save all the pins and sell them and let somebody else do it. A lot of times you get them two at a time. The old twist and pull. Twist to break them free from the board and pull. Now, this plastic might slide, or I might have to get them from this side. Because there isn't really anything to grab onto down here. Kind of. Some of this stuff can seem like it's a little time consuming, a little monotonous. And people think I'm crazy, but all this stuff adds up. The gold plated pins, the monolithic ceramic capacitors. I'm just going to break the rest off. Because all we really want anyways is the gold plated part. And when you go to list this stuff on eBay, all you have to do is put it on a digital scale and get some really good close-up photos of it. Lots of good close-up photos so they can see weight-wise what they're getting. There you go. And these, of course, are brass too, these little ends. Just depends how hard up for scrap you are. Get the little tub out and see. My gold-plated pins are already starting to add up. Now we're going to get some of these ceramic capacitors off of here. I don't like wasting my time with the really, really small ones. A lot of these look like they're too small. I'll get a couple of them though, just to show you how to do it. What you do is you put your flathead down and you kind of walk it. Oh, that one went flying. See, if you kind of walk it, they don't go flying. So here's a couple of them. See, I'm walking the screwdriver. And they just kind of wiggle themselves right off. That's enough for me. Before you know it, this tub will be full. And we'll do an eBay listing together. So there you have it. That's about it. Let's see what we got. Got a little under 1.5 pounds. And that's about 1/4 pound of copper bearing. That doesn't even really register. This board's green on both sides. Keep it separate from the other circuit boards. Some copper bearing for the copper bearing bucket. Let's see if this brass even registers. Kind of knew that. A little bit of brass for the brass bucket. And a little over 1 pound of tin for the tin bucket. That wasn't too bad. A few minutes worth of work. Make a little extra change. Remember, save these. Worth saving. And just remember, guys, scrap is everywhere. All you gotta do is find it, sort it, and hoard it. So, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.